Sus, Harav Rosenblatt, Rabbanim. I would like to thank everyone for coming today to support Yeshiva Kesser Torah. We all know all the good things that Rabbi Rosenblatt does and that the yeshiva does. It's very comforting for people, especially people who are saying Kaddish, to know that any time of night they can go to Yeshiva Kesser Torah and catch a minyan. It's very important, and it really, is special. I'd like to call up Rav Rosenblatt, who will say a few words and introduce our honorees.
Baruch haba to everybody. Thank you for all coming. Bruchim haboim b'shem Hashem, to help us in our work of trying to be Mekarev Yidden to Torah, to Tefillah. We have wonderful guests of honor today. Rabbi Efraim Bassali and his wife, and Mr. Bruce and Deborah Schonfeld, who have been with the yeshiva for a long time and have really grown very, very much. They are Balei Chesed, and they really deserve the honor. I'm going to call upon Rabbi Efraim Bassali to say a few words, and please hear what he has to say. Yeah. No, we're not ready for that yet. We're not ready for that.
Good morning. Bishut Rav Rosenblatt, Bishut Rabbanim. I'm very privileged. Me and my wife are very privileged to be honored in this event. It's a very special experience. Thank you for everybody for coming. Thank you for everyone to come to this event. Thank you for those who also participated by sending donations and were not able to attend this event. It's my greatest privilege to be part of this yeshiva. I want to tell you briefly the history of my involvement with Yeshiva Kesser Torah. I received my graduate degree in electrical engineering in the spring of 1981. And I was job hunting. I was looking for a job, sending resumes, going to interviews the whole summer. So one day I went to visit a friend of mine, Mr. Nader Bral. And he said he's going to visit his friend in a yeshiva on the service road of Grand Central Parkway, near Main Street. He says, do you want to walk with me there and visit the yeshiva? I said, of course. So I went there to yeshiva, and I met with Mr. Aaron Goykadosh for the first time. So I found out he was learning there, and he's also an electrical engineer, and he worked as an electrical engineer. So I said, by any chance, I'm looking for a job as an electrical engineer. Do you know of any jobs? He says, in fact, he knew of something. If you would bring your resume, he'll pass my resume and maybe something comes out of it. So I was very inspired with the experience, very cozy yeshiva. I started to learn there, and I remember I met Rabbi Efraim Warshawski, who was my Rebbe, he still is my Rebbe. He moved to Israel in the 80s, but I'm still in touch with him, and I consult with him all the time. So, remember the Masechta we're learning, Masechet Yevamot, very complicated, very intriguing Masechta, but that inspired me a lot. So I remember walking out of the yeshiva, going home, and I felt, oh, I wish it would have been even longer. It was such a great experience. So to this yeshiva, I met many friends, many rabbis. I went to many different shurim, including shurim by Rav Rosenblatt, and Rabbi Heshi Welcher, Rabbi Gottlieb. And I met many friends. Their home were open to everybody. Every other Shabbos, they call it in Shabbos, everybody, every yeshiva bachur was invited to their homes. Not only that, on all Jewish holidays, everybody was invited. So I met a really good family. So through Aaron Goy Kadosh, which at some point in time I gave my resume, I met Mr. Arnold Newton, who was a chief engineer in some company in Connecticut, and he gave me a short interview, and he gave me my first job. And this is off record. I'm telling you guys, don't speak about this to anyone, please. He later on told me that he had given the job offer to Aaron Goy Kadosh, and because it meant a raise for him, but Aaron Goy Kadosh, because he saw that I'm out of job, he passed it to me. So this is a secret. Please don't share it with anyone. I'm not supposed to say it. Anyways, so later on to Mr. Newton, whom I met through Yeshiva Kesser Torah, I met Dr. Jack Clapper, who actually put an ad for me, kind enough. He hooked me up with a program to study my doctoral degree, not only for free, but even with some research grant salaries. So through Kesser Torah, I learned Torah. I was there for 2 decades, I would say, learning when I lived in the area. Then I got my first job. I hooked up with doctoral program that I got my doctoral degree basically for free. And I was invited to Rosenblatt's home all the time. And Rabbi Rosenblatt called me. He says, I want to honor you. I said, come on, Rabbi. You got to be kidding. With all of this, I'd be honored? Honor is to Rabbi and Rebbitzin Rosenblatt, of course. They were there for me. Rabbi and Rebbitzin Rosenblatt, they were for me in good times and difficult times, with no exceptions. So I'm very humbled with this experience, and my greatest appreciation to Rabbi and Rebbitzin Rosenblatt.
I just want to mention, could this be made louder?
Well, you got to hold it closer to your mouth.
Efraim and I worked together on a certain project, and it was many, many hours that he put into it. And I want to thank him very much for it. And in general, all the chesed that he does. In grateful appreciation to Dr. Fred Efraim and Mrs. Daria Sarah Bassali, guests of honor, for their dedication and devotion to Yeshiva Kesser Torah. Yeshiva Kesser Torah Annual Journal Breakfast, May 6, 2018, Parshas Bahar B'chukoisai. Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov.
Let's take a picture.
Take a picture.
Look at the camera.
As I was saying, we have wonderful guests of honor this morning, and the next guest of honor is somebody who has been affiliated with us many, many years, a crackerjack mashgiach in kashrus. If he is involved in kashrus, you know there's absolutely no questions about the kashrus of these subjects. So I'd like to present Mr. Bruce and Deborah Schonfeld with our plaque and wish them greatest success and continuation and nachas and mazel and brocha and everything they wish Hashem should help them. Yeah, of course.
Want to sit first?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Rosh Yeshiva. Reb Efraim and I haven't seen each other, haven't spoken to each other in too many years. But we haven't spoken with each other in too many years. But Efraim hit on the subject that I wanted to speak about. I Googled the word honoree. And the definitions that I found, I would have failed the test in Mrs. Kane's 7th grade English class. Because it said, basically, somebody to whom honor is given. Mrs. Kane always said you cannot use a word or a root of the word or a version of the word in its definition. So I would have thought it would have said somebody to whom recognition is given, to who should be lauded. And I realize that's not me. Not me by a long shot. But who fits this, this definition? It would be Rabbi Rosenblatt. It would be Reverend Rosenblatt, one of the best kept secrets in town. That for the 28 years or so that I've been associated with the yeshiva, I've always felt that, especially when I was single, I was a ben bias in their home. I could call upon them literally at any time, day or night, if I had a problem, if I had an emergency. They were always there, and may they continue to be there. And the biggest secret is, as the Rosh Yeshiva mentioned, part of my job I am involved with kashrus, and I've had to deal with many different rebbeim in the community, outside the community over the years. And at the drop of a hat, they are always available, willing, happy to speak with me about any subject for whatever amount of time is needed. We're very lucky to live in such a community, and my wife and I are very lucky to be associated with Rabbi and Rebbe Rosenblatt. Thank you all for coming and helping to support the yeshiva.
Bruce is only half of the honorees. I have to mention something about Deborah. Deborah, I don't know if she remembers, but in my sefer that I had the privilege to write, Deborah was one of the editors. And I want to thank her very much, together with all the other editors that we had. They should only have everything they desire. They should have hatzlacha, bracha, mazel, everything they wish in the schus of writing, editing a sefer on Torah. And we should all have mazel and bracha and nachas from them. Amen. Chol she'oiskim b'tzarchei tzibur be'emuna, HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishalem secharam. In grateful appreciation to Mr. Bruce and Mrs. Deborah Schonfeld, guests of honor, for their dedication and devotion to Yeshiva Kesser Torah, annual journal breakfast, Parshas Bahar B'chukoisai, May 6, 2018. They should be blessed with everything good. Amen v'amen.
Let's take a picture now. I'm going to call up Rabbi Portnoy.
Yeah. Last but not least, Rabbi Turk was supposed to speak now, but he had to go to Eretz Yisrael. I think he went the night before, last night, I'm not sure. But we have Bimkaim Kohen, we have in his place his co-director of the Jewish Heritage Center. It's my honor to call upon Rabbi Naftali Portnoy to say a few words.
I've often been asked, and as Rabbi Turk as well has often been asked to sometimes fill the other's shoes. As Rabbi Rosenblatt was introducing me, I reminded myself, can you hear me? I reminded myself of a time we were at a wedding, and they called up Rabbi Moshe Portnoy for a bracha. So I'm sitting with Rabbi Turk. I said, do they mean me or do they mean you? So I said, you know what? You go with the first name. Take the bracha. Then, a few minutes later, they call up Rabbi Moshe Turk as the bracha. I said, this one's for sure you. So take the bracha. Now, very often, I mean, the two of us, and I speak in the name of Rabbi Moshe, Rabbi Turk as well, he really wanted to be here. But he got stuck. It wasn't Eretz Yisrael, but it's Florida. He had a meeting there that he couldn't get out of, and he had to stay there for Shabbos. B'rshus the Rosh Yeshiva, Chashav Rabbanim, guest of honors, and all of you that joined us this morning. I'll share a quick thought with you, and I will stick to the schedule. Benching for sure will be, as far as I'm concerned, by 10:30. We're approaching Shavuos, and here in Chutz La'aretz, on the first day of Shavuos, we read Hakdamis. Hakdamis is a poem that's written brilliantly, praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu, praising the gift that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us of Torah. This is read before we read in the Torah of the Aseres HaDibros. And of course, the greatness of Klal Yisrael. if you take some time, sometimes it's difficult, and on an early morning, it's up all night, but if you have some time to read through the Hakdamas, you'll find something very fascinating, though. I'll share with you one stitch, I think that is repeated a number of times as well in the Hakdamas. Is that Tzvi v'chamid urgig the Yulion b'lausa tzloisan b'chein mekabel v'anya b'usa, which means HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, he desires, he urges to, he has a real urge for that we should be misyageya. The Yulion b'lausa is to immerse oneself in the study of Torah. Then it says, as the tzloisan, their tefillas, because of that. B'chein is mekabel, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will accept him, v'soil, right, v'anya ba'usa, which is then it will be, it will work. If your tefillah will be miskabel from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will accept your tefillah. And if you read further, you find that many of the stitches that he continues with refer to and speak so much about Klal Yisrael's tefillah as well. And I think that even though the Bave Treu Tlasis, which is really referring to the 2 and the 3 themes or the doors that Hakdamas is really speaking about, is Kutchabrichu v'Raisa v'Yisrael, is HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Torah and Klal Yisrael. But he talks so much about the tefillah, and I think he was Torah and tefillah is the study of Torah ba'amelus, and involvement in tefillah as well. I think he had in mind Yeshiva Kesser Torah, the Python, when he was writing these stitches of the Hakdamas. You know, we find places that are Mekaymis HaTorah, that are designated places to come and learn. And then you find there are places that are designated as a shul to come in to daven. To be able to synthesize the two is 50 plus years ago, Yeshiva Kesser Torah was started by the Rosh Yeshiva and the Rebbetzin, Rabbi and Rebbetzin Rosenblatt, b'mesiras nefesh, and I can tell you that personally I know a lot of the mesiras nefesh, our families are very close. As a matter of fact, the Rosh Yeshiva and Rebbetzin were my shadchan. The yeshiva, so I got to see firsthand, we're going back now 40 years ago. You saw this yeshiva that Efraim was mentioning, going back to the early 80s, where you found the doors to their home, the doors to the yeshiva. You can walk in on a Friday night, you'd see the house was just full of their Talmidim. Talmidim sitting and talking and learning. Talmidim sitting, of course, in Zmiris, Yemeira as well. You know, singing some Zmiris, the beautiful songs, Nigunim, that Rabbi Rosenblatt himself composed and, of course, sang. But the Mesiras Nefesh that they had to establish a Mokum Torah were so many, as our guest of honors, are some of the few of the many that have come through the doors. You know, Bruce and I go back, I remember we met almost 30 years ago, out in Suffolk County. Came to a class and started to learn, but there wasn't enough and needed to learn more. The only place back then, 30 years ago, the place for a beginner to find where he can get the chizuk that he needs, the limudim that he needs, the studies that he needs. There was no other place but Yeshiva Kesser Torah. The Mesiras Nefesh, the dedication, the devotion of the Rosenblatts, the Rabbi and Rebbetzin. But they were able to as well, you know, we talk about what they were able to do is synthesize and put together. Today, it's become a Mokum Tefillah in central Queens. I don't want to say Kew Garden Hills because I live in Kew Gardens, and if I need a minyan, I come. And if you live in Forest Hills, you need a minyan, you're there. In the morning, in the afternoon, or the evening. They're able to take and understand the two components of Klal Yisrael is the Torah and Tefillah. Your way to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is to understand His laws and to connect Him personally, understanding His laws through the study of His Torah and to connecting Him personally with your Tefillos. But it's more than that. The Rosh Yeshiva and the Rebbetzin not just synthesized Torah and Tefillah, but Rabbi Rosenblatt was able to beautifully take, he's a Talmud of two Goyinim G'dolei Yisrael of the past. He was a Talmud learned by Rabbi Aaron Kotler of Rosh Yeshiva and Beis Medrash Gavoya, and their Derech Halimud, and he learned by the Rosh Yeshiva, our Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Penach Leibowitz, Zechronim Levracha. He's able to take the two druch and the two approaches and take from the two of them the Divrei Torah and the Divrei Musa, and to pass on the Messiah, which is critical. It's to be a true Messiah that you have. It's nothing new. It's not a new tree, but it's a branch on an old tree. And taken from those two giants of the past, and to bring that all together, to give over to their Talmidim. Their approach in learning, their approach in B'chaim, the Divrei Musa, those Musa sheets that the Rosh Yeshiva puts out, Rabbi Rosenblatt puts out regularly, words of inspiration that are mechazik so many of us. And last but not least, of course, as I mentioned, and I think as both our guest of honors have mentioned, Efraim and Bruce, is that they were able to synthesize both the Ruchnis and Gashmis, the needs of their Talmidim, is to make sure that they have what they need. But Mesiras Nefesh, it's not easy to run a yeshiva. It doesn't just come in to hire the, as we heard, there's the Rabbonim and the Rosh Yeshivas and the Malamdim that came into the yeshiva to give their classes. It was on a regular basis, and some of everyone doesn't stay there forever. They come and they leave, and they come and they leave. But the Yeshiva and the Rebbetzin made sure that the Talmidim had the Rabbeim that were there for them. And the yeshiva was, I remember the days that, you walked in, there were 20, 30 guys sitting there, the Rebbetzin, on a Friday night to put together, the needs that they have for their sudas, and to make sure that the yeshiva, and there was a dormitory, and what they had and what they needed and they had, to make sure that they had in the yeshiva. It's a schus for us to have them in our community. It's a personal schus for me to have a personal relationship with them. I was asked, to give divrei bracha, so I'll close with a bracha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should continue to give them the strength, the health, to be able to continue in their avodah, the avodah bein in limud haTorah, and the study and the teaching of Torah, bein and being there for the community, for the Queen's community, for Zamokim Tefillah, and through their efforts, for so many people that needed a place to learn, and need a place to learn, so many that needed a place to daven and need a place to daven, is that we should taka bizoicha to our chodosh al tzion toyer, is the V'hu Yashmeinu Barachim of Shenis La'einei Kol Chai, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as we get ready to be Mekabel, the Torah once again is the V'hu Yashmeinu Barachim of, we should taka here, of the coming of Mashiach, B'meher V'yomeinu. Best wishes, Mazel Tov to the guest of honors.
Okay, so let's do it. Rabbi Chaim Willem Benchen. Yishem Adinai Mevorach Miyato V'yarel Mishus Maranon V'Rabbanon V'Rabbi Sai Nevorech Eleiheinu She'achalnu Mishalai Baruch Eleiheinu She'achalnu Mishalai Uv'tuvai Chayinu Baruch Atah Adinu Eleiheinu Melech Hoinu Mazvenu Zevenu Kulu V'Tuvai Chayinu Unai sen lechem l'chol v'zaki v'en l'chazoi avdim v'yedem tam l'chazoi Yisrael m'azan v'ed v'yov l'shmai gadol k'yel l'zorem chayim l'sakem l'tu v'kem l'chol v'zaki v'yedem v'shabanem Kamu v'zeyach es yedechem v'zbiel l'chol chay l'tzayim baruch atah Adinoi Hasan b'rachamo v'sakoi Y'all choice his son, what an early hang, the merit to time, to swim with the one. All of this was a sort of spinning, but to ask much for the Yakum Kaka Shed, and Tony Lahayim came to such a תמיד בכל יום ובכל עת ובכל שעה ולכן על הארץ ועל המזון רחמנו עלינו אלוהינו ישראל עמך וישמענו מן הארץ. והיינו אבינו ראינו זוננו פרנסנו פחקלנו ואכלנו נו על דת צריכנו אדינו אלוהינו ולדעים עד עצמך כי אם להיות חיים לב וסוף הקדוש ובחופש לנו וישלנו כלם ועד ובני ירושלים מרק קדש מרי בימינו בני ברחמיו ירושלים אמן. ويتوب ما يتوب يتوب لانه وملانه وجملانه ويجملانه وخير رحمين وخيم وشالم وخلطه ومخلطه وبيلام أو يخسفين اشتغلنا برحم الروبة ببعيس هذا يرسلنا كذا شبيه معصور في الموشون هيدو أرينا كتاب كذا لم خسر بسيف لنا يا إسلام أيتين لنا يبرك اسم غيب الشرائم